This is a Forex Preview here at xam.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Marujos. With me today is lead investment analyst Rafi Boyajian. We'll be having a look at the Bank of Japan policy meeting coming up on Tuesday. At the end of last week, Rafi, we saw some reports which suggested that policymakers are making preparations to guide markets for a rate hike. This, of course, came as a surprise as investors weren't expecting much from this meeting. Therefore, do you think the Bank of Japan will join its peers in raising rates?
So, Christina, you are right. This did come as a bit of a surprise because unlike in most other advanced nations where inflation is becoming a growing threat to economic stability, Japan hasn't seen much of a spike in inflation yet. So there are a few doubts that the Bank of Japan will be the last major central bank to normalize policy after years of plenty of stimulus. But the inflation landscape is changing now, even in Japan. So although Japan's CPI rate is just 0.6%, which is extremely low compared to the 7% in the United States, inflationary pressures are building up, and it's important to bear in mind that Japan relies heavily on imports for its raw materials as well as for its energy needs. So it's going to be a bit hard for Japanese manufacturers to evade the global surge in prices for key commodities and components, especially as the supply bottlenecks look set to last at least a few more months, probably at least for the rest of this year. On top of that, the yen's recent weakness has also exacerbated the rise in input costs as a weaker exchange rate pushes up the price of imported goods. However, although we're likely to see inflation rise in the coming months, it's doubtful whether the Bank of Japan will take action anytime soon because they will want to see prices rise sustainably before they begin to tighten policy. And for that to happen, wages will need to go up, which at the moment isn't the case. So whilst we may see the Bank of Japan turn less dovish at Tuesday's meeting, it still has some way to go before it can even think about raising rates.
And now let's have a look at the yen because we saw the currency shine on the back of rate hike expectations at the end of last week and, of course, a weaker dollar. How could it move on the Bank of Japan policy decision?
So the yen did get a bit of a bounce from those reports, but we did also have some risk off at the end of last week, not to mention the pullback in the US dollar. So it's hard to get a reading on just how much of those gains were on the back of rate hike expectations. We're definitely not expecting any changes in policy or the forward guidance by the BoJ at this meeting, but we will very likely see inflation forecasts being revised up. If in addition we also see signs of growing concern among policymakers about the global jump in inflation combined with the optimism about Japan's own economic recovery from the pandemic, then the yen might be bolstered further. But according to money markets, a rate hike is a long way off, and any shift in policy that we do see on Tuesday is likely to be just baby steps.
Rafi, it was great having you with me today. Thank you for watching this Forex Preview on the Bank of Japan policy meeting coming up on Tuesday here at xam.com.